Richard Bliss Brooke here. We are live.
We sit here today with none other than
Mark Victor Hansen,
Bob Proctor.
This is Kendra Hall.
Tanya Stringer,
Jack Canfield,
DeWitt Jones,
James Clear,
Les Brown.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here at the Authentic Networker. I've got the one and only John Addison, who's camped out in Highlands, North Carolina at his mountain house, here to talk to us about fears and leadership and all things success. Thank you so much, John. I'm very grateful for you investing the time for my audience.
Well, I appreciate it, Richard, very much. And, I've always, seeing you for years at events, I've just always enjoyed our conversations, and I'm glad to be here to talk with you today.
Thank you, sir. Well, I read the book.
Yeah.
Got it from Amazon, read it. Of course, I've read all of these. My favorite 4 fears was real leadership.
Right.
This is volume 2. You are, as a result of your extraordinary experiences and overcoming insurmountable odds and intense courage, you have gained a lot of very, very powerful lessons and wisdom, and we're all grateful that you put them into writing.
Appreciate it.
So as somebody, here's my first question, John. As somebody who has co-created, resurrected, I know Art Williams launched it, and I was actually working around Columbus, Georgia at that time.
Wow.
So I watched that happen. But as somebody that built a $10 billion company, and at the same time married for 43 years to the same woman and raised beautiful children and grandchildren, that's a pretty magnificent track record in accomplishment. What the heck are you afraid of?
Well, that's a very good, I appreciate all those kind words, but, honestly, Richard, I believe we are all human basket cases. Okay. We all have snakes in our attic. Okay. And we all have these little fears, uncertainties, and doubts that can hold us in place and keep us from doing anything great in life. I was raised in Covington, Georgia. Our only child, grew up out in the country, unbelievable parents. One of the things that I think helped me in life was I'm one of the people that had a blessed childhood. I mean, my mom and dad were unbelievable, positive people. But, we were very middle class, very small town. It was a lot like Mayberry and, Andy Griffith. And I was raised to go to college. My mother's, I was going to go to college, but just get a job, get a good job that had good benefits. There was no, you're going to go out and be CEO of a company. You're going to lead an IPO out of, out of Citibank at the height of the financial crisis. None of that was in what I saw in the solution set for my life. I honestly believe, and I'll always tell people this, life requires hard work. It requires discipline. It requires you trying to focus on being a good person and doing the right things. But you also got to have some luck. Okay. And I answered an ad in the Atlanta paper, rapidly growing insurance company, looking for young college graduates to run the new home office. And while I was getting my MBA, Master's in Business Administration at Georgia State University, I went to work at A.L. Williams corporate headquarters when I was 24 years old. And I thought I'd be there 2 or 3 years while I got my MBA, and turned out, I've been involved in the company now either as an employee, CEO, or now board member of the public company for 44 years. So, And through all of those times, I had so many fears and doubts. Okay, whether I was, in meetings in New York with investment bankers and all the people at Citi who all went to college at Harvard, Princeton, or Yale, or someplace like that. I went to the University of Georgia, go Dogs. And and there were so many times I was like, am I smart enough? Can I do this? Okay. And you got to remember in life those little fears that get programmed in you when you were young, inadequacies, where you think, it's kind of like what's been called the imposter complex. You go, wake up at 3 a.m, going, am I smart enough? Can I do this? And it's your ability you'll never eliminate your fears. Okay. You'll never eliminate them. But what you can do is you can harness them and use them as a force to drive you forward instead of making you sit on your sofa and watch television and never attempt anything great. Okay. So, life is, I believe life has a lot of duality and dualism in it. I always tell people you got to manage contradictions. You got to be boldly humble. Okay. You got to be aggressively cautious. Okay. You have to wrestle with those kind of two dynamics in life. I've told people before that this book was not written for people who think they're perfect, always right. I mean, and we all know them. I'm sure you've met them in business that, they thought of everything. Every idea is their idea. They're brilliant. They're never wrong, whatever. I don't like those kind of people because usually they're jerks. Okay. This is for people who want to do something great, might not know exactly what path that is, but have these little, uncertainties. But, talking about people that think they're always right, I believe there's a power in uncertainty. And by that, I mean, if you're uncertain, if you're not always like there were so many times in the IPO, I was like, let's try this. Okay. Hope it works. All right. That uncertainty creates empathy. It creates in you the ability to know everybody ain't perfect. We all make mistakes. We all do things wrong. And certainty sometimes can just make you like, well, I know all the answers. What's wrong with all these idiots? And so I don't know. I always wanted to write this book because as I look at my life now, and let's just be honest, at the age we're at, there's more behind us than, is in front of us. And as you look back at that career, I look at so many times and I go, my God, how did I get through that? How did I move forward through that? How did I, in life moves on small decisions a lot of the times. Okay, I answered an ad in the Atlanta paper. What if I'd answered another ad? Where would my life be today?
Right.
Okay, that you just got to get up every day and find that courage, okay, courage to move forward and to do the right things and to do the best job you can do. Make each day. I love John Wooden always said, make each day your masterpiece. Okay.
Break that word courage down for us, John. I was fascinated at your treatment of it in the book. Yeah. So, Sir Winston Churchill, who's one of my, people ask me what I read and all that all the time. I have a complete library of Sir Winston Churchill's war memoirs and all of his writings. And, he said,
Courage is the greatest of human characteristics because without it, none of the others are realized. And in courage is not absence of fear. Okay? People that do great things are scared to death a lot of times. I've never been in a battle. I've never had to, stand there and people are shooting at me. And, the odds of living, I've never had to do that, thank God. Okay? But the people that turn out to be heroes in all kinds of situations, they're scared to death. They're worried. One of the great stories, I tell it in the book from history, is when, Dwight Eisenhower made the decision to go on D-Day. Okay? Weather was uncertain, all these things. And knowing how many men are going to die on those beaches, and whether or not it would succeed. Okay. When he made the decision and it was go, he sat down at his desk and he wrote a note for a press release in case it failed. And in the note, he says, the men did everything they could. If any blame goes for this failure, it is mine and mine alone. Okay. Thank God he never had to be published, okay, because it succeeded and we defeated Nazism. But he was scared to death, okay? He was worried. He thought, I might have just sent a bunch of people to die and it's going to be a colossal failure and everybody's going to say that idiot Eisenhower, lost the war, okay? Courage is critical, and realizing that sometimes you got to go, okay, I'm scared, I'm worried about this, but I got to go win anyway. Okay.
You called it heart-based leadership in the book.
Well, it was when Rick and I, a story that exemplifies that. And to me, one of the most in my career. So while we were in the middle of this ongoing, we think we'd have a deal done. Then the financial world would collapse again and we would have to start over. Okay. And we had to get Primerica out of Citi. Citi had, if you were anybody that remembers the financial crisis, there was TARP, all the money got put into the banks by the government to bail them out. Okay. And, they were almost operating as government entities at that time. And our business was incredibly profitable, doing fine. Okay. We weren't a bank. We sold insurance, mutual funds, investments, and had a huge direct sales force. But it was killing us, okay, because we were so limited on what we could do. And finally, we were in New York. They were trying to negotiate a contract with Rick and I to just keep us around, keeping the company going. And we were pushing to get out because we needed our business unplugged from Citi so we could focus on it and it could grow. Citi, we went to a meeting one Monday in New York. We were up there in basically the entire year of 2009. And they announced to us that we had to cancel our big convention that was coming up in Atlanta that June, where we would have had over 30,000 people for our big convention with the sales force. We had to cancel an incentive trip. Now, just like anybody watching this, most of the people that won an incentive trip with Primerica were part-time people. They were a teacher, a fireman, whatever, that did Primerica part-time. And we had 2,000 couples going in two waves, 1,000 each time, to the Atlantis. So we basically for 10 days taken over the Atlantis Hotel. And so it was family, people that had won the trip, going there with their kids, going to have an amazing time. We would have a company. We had to cancel it because the bank was worried people would go, you're spending government money on taking people on this trip. And I lost it on them. Okay. And said, guys, y'all have just told us unplug the refrigerator. The food's going to go bad. Okay. And I'm not here to do that. I will not participate in destroying the company. And I walked out of the meeting. Rick showed up on the sidewalk while I was waiting on a cab to go to the airport with his BlackBerry at that time, put it to my ear, and it was Art Williams. And he had called Art, and it was Art telling me, John, you got to save the company. You can't walk away. You got to go back up there, and you got to find in you what it takes to tell them what's got to be done. So we went back up, got the meeting back together, and I said, look, I'm not signing a contract with you. Because if I'd have signed a contract, I'd have had all kinds of, non-compete. I'd have been tied up where I had no leverage. And we fought through that and were able to get it done. But the story to heart is we get back. And so I've got to announce to our sales force that we're canceling those trips. And so first thing I did was with our senior leaders get on a phone, at that time, conference call. There was no Zoom. And just tell them, hey, here. And I was very emotional. And when I finished, it was just dead silence. And Bill Whittle, who's an amazing leader in the company, still with Primerica, killing it as always, and he was not only just a leader for his team, but just a leader. And he comes on and he goes, John, for the first time, I understand the stakes of what you and Rick are dealing with. He said, I thought I understand, but now I understand. And you guys just go fight. And he said, we got your back. Don't worry, we got your back. And then they all came in, and it was what was one of the darkest conversations I'd ever had with the sales force, turned into this camaraderie of, hey, we're all in this foxhole, okay? You guys go do your job on this, okay? And we're going to fight the battle here and keep this thing going forward, okay? And that's what I mean by heart, okay? People, look, to be CEO of a company, you got to be smart. You can't be just a dum-dum, okay? You got to be smart. You got to know the business and know what you're doing. But people follow your heart. The number one characteristic you can have with your sales force, if you're building a business or whatever, is for them to trust you and believe in you, okay? I don't care how good you are at the presentation, how good a speaker you are, all that stuff. If people don't go, I trust, respect, and believe in you, they're not going to follow you. I mean, and, that's what I mean by it. And when people know you're going to fight for their life and their business and their livelihood, okay, they're gonna follow you. So that's what I mean by it, Richard.
Yeah, I loved it. So you golf, right?
Yes. Poorly now. I used to be a really good golfer, but it's weird. In my semi-retirement, I'm getting old and more attention deficit disordered. So, but anyway, but yes, I play at golf.
The Masters must have captured your attention.
Yes, it did.
I know not everybody that watches this is a golfer, but
yeah.
I just wrote a blog about Rory's Sunday.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious your take on the fear that was present at the Masters. Whether it was, stepping up on the tee box day one or stepping up on the tee box Sunday morning or standing over that last 3-foot putt.
Well, I mean, so Lovan and I we actually got Tommy Aaron, who's a wonderful human being, lives in Gainesville, Georgia, where our main house is. And, he won the Masters in 73. Yeah. And so he gave us 2 tickets on Thursday. And so we were down on Thursday, and and back when we were a part of City, Sandy Weil was a member. One year I had a member's badge all through the thing. So anyway, I love the Masters. I think it is one of the premier sporting events in the world. And what you saw on that Sunday was honestly my book, lived out, because Rory had every demon in him. He had the tournament won in 2011 when he was early 20s. He was going to win. Nicholas had said he's going to win 15 plus majors, And then it just ended. And the further it went, and he had never won the Masters, he always found a way to lose it.
17 times.
Yeah. And it was every demon in him. And I guarantee you could watch his mind out there being, I think I can do it. Oh God, I can't do it. I mean, and like on 13, when he chunked the ball in the creek, honestly, that looked like me making the shot. I mean, that honestly looked like he said, "Hey, John, come put this close for me," and just dumped it in the creek. And I thought it was over for him then. I thought this is going to be Greg Norman collapse. He's going to just completely collapse and lose this thing. And what you saw in his emotion on that green was he stared at those demons, played a completely imperfect round, but yet made some amazing shots, and won it. And I was telling somebody the other day that I think, he may win several majors now, because all of a sudden he got that demon's gone, that pressure's gone. And it was honestly, in my opinion, one of the most high pressure winning despite yourself things that's ever been. And it was overcoming fears.
That was a mindset mastery masterclass.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, how he did it there at the end on 18, I told my wife when he went up with Justin Rose to tee off, and Justin teed off first and hit that perfect drive. I said, Rory is going to snap this into the woods. and he's going to be dead on the first shot. And no, he didn't. He hit a better drive than he did the time before, hit it right at the flag. And then when Justin missed it, I was like, I mean, what do you have, about a 3-footer?
3 foot.
And I'm like,
nemesis putt too. 3 feet.
No. Anytime, if you just play golf with friends and there's something riding on it, 3 foot. I mean, I've missed a million of them. And so I was incredibly happy for him. That, like I said, he slayed that dragon and pulled it off. But like I said, at 13, it was over. Yes. If he had hit that chip shot to the back where it fed down to the whole thing would have been completely over. Yeah. But instead, he chili dipped it into the creek.
How do you do that?
I mean, particularly him. Now, I could do it easily.
Sure, I could do it.
Yeah.
So for the not Rory McIlroys in the world, the masses of people that are watching this, one of the other places I loved your book, John, was the 5 daily actions to get you started in that bias for action, getting your butt in gear, getting out of your head, getting into motion, Can you recap for people these five?
Well, I probably don't have all five, but I can absolutely recap what
I'll cue you. I'll cue you.
So Kirby Smart, that's the head coach at the University of Georgia, who I've gotten to know through things at UGA. I love his saying that you got to attack the day. Okay, which I'm sure he stole from someone else, listed. But in this industry, we're an industry of dreamers. Okay, and they have the number of people that I would see in their car. They've got their goals written down, taped to the dashboard. They've got their list of the 10 things they're going to do before they die. And all that, which all that's good. All that's really good. But great tomorrows begin with great todays. Okay. And, when we watch the Olympics, people love the story, some sport that people normally don't watch. And then there's this story of this person and they go win the gold medal. Well, you got to remember that person to get to that moment where everybody's watching them. Okay. All the mornings where nobody gave a crap about what they were doing but themselves and their parents, getting up, getting after it, I always say, you got to get up every day and say, I will do today what others don't so that I'll have tomorrow what others won't. Okay. You got to go, forget where you're going to be in 15 years. What are you going to do in the next 15 minutes? Okay. To go change your life and grow your business. Get after it today. At the end of the day, be able to say, I'm better than I was when the day started. Okay. Now, some days that's not going to happen. That's just cold-blooded reality. We always get sidetracked. Things happen, all that kind of stuff. But you got to attack the day. Well, one of the stories in there, and that is, back one year at Primerica, right after we took over, I gave everyone at an event we had a shower, a laminated shower hanger card that they could put over their shower, that had their morning affirmations on it. Okay.
Nice.
I am a great recruiter. Okay. Today I will meet the right people in the right place for the betterment of all. I said, look, particularly now with these things, okay, it is so easy to just have your brain filled with garbage and negative. And, people I see stare at those things all the time. You go to a restaurant, there's a family having dinner and everybody's looking at their dang telephone. Okay.
Crazy.
You have to program your mind you got to program your mind on how to think. Okay. Which means you got to do a lot of stuff opposite of what a lot of your friends do. Okay. And then you got to go get after it. If you're trying to build a business, how many people did I talk to today about the business? How many people did I get an appointment with? You got to go every day if you want 20 years from now to be able to sail around the world and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Okay. You got to go kick butt today. Okay. And I learned when I was running a big company, I used to, okay, great. Strategic plan, important. Making sure we're moving, whatever, what do we want the company to look? You sit in a board meeting, okay, let's visualize what we want the company to look like in 2030. Okay. I used to worry more about what we were going to do tomorrow. Okay. Are we doing the right stuff today to build and grow the company in the right way? And I'm just a kick butt now guy. Okay. Not everybody what do you look, I hope I live to be 90 years old. Right. I always tell people my definition, I've got my 50th high school reunion coming up this summer. And I guarantee you, when I went to it, my 20th reunion, these people were old. Okay. This is going to be like nursing home old.
Yeah.
Okay. And I always tell people my definition of old is the day you talk more about what you did than what you're going to do. Okay. Yeah. Live for today. Live every day like it's your last. And one of these days you're going to be right. Okay. Go do something today. And I can't, I mean, young people, whatever, quit. The difference between a real dream and a pipe dream is a real dream is attached to activity and action. Okay. A pipe dream is, oh, one of these days I'm going to hit the lottery and, so.
I hope. I played golf long time ago, a couple of days of golf with Fuzzy Zeller, John.
Yeah.
And he threw a wedge back in his bag, and I don't know, I was just curious about his wedges. So I went over and just looked at his wedges, and they were like worn, almost like no grooves.
Yep.
I said, Fuzzy, when's the last time you bought clubs? Now, this was like 20 years ago. I think he was on the senior tour.
Right.
He said, these are new this year.
And he just hit so many balls.
He said 1,000 balls a day.
Yeah.
It's the lead metric, right? It's what are you doing every day that strategically will inevitably lead you wherever you want to go. Like the big dream, that's great. But what are you doing every day? Are you hitting 1,000 balls a day? Because I guess you get better, John. You and I could get better at golf if we hit 1,000 balls a day.
No, you absolutely. And he's an interesting human being. My only experience with him was I told you the story about the year we had members badges. Sandy Weil gave them to us because I was fighting to get the company out of Citi. He had been let go by Citi after Enron and WorldCom, and he was very bitter about it and hated Citigroup. So he had all these members badges. He called me. I was in New York fighting with Citi, and he said, I know what you're doing. Kick their butt. By the way, I've got members badges for you for the Masters. So I went by his office, got them. And so it was the last year Fuzzy was going to play as a player after winning 79. So I think it was 2009, I believe, something like that. So he didn't make the cut. So on the Friday round, we've got my buddy and I are sitting at the bar inside the clubhouse. Okay. And he had met us and talked with us and cut up. I joked with him or whatever. And so anyway, he walks in, says, going up to get a quick shower. You guys stay there. I want to celebrate my last round. And he came down and I could not, he had a blast that after his last round.
Couldn't keep up with him.
And he's a very, very nice guy. Really a wonderful person. Yeah.
Yeah. Controversial, but great heart.
Yeah, great heart. So anyway, I enjoyed my one experience with him. But let me just, before I forget it, and the ladies that do stuff for me yell at me, to just tell everybody, number one, the book is out on Amazon. I'm, doing it through Amazon. So if you just go to Amazon and put in John Addison, Fears in the Fuel, it'll pop up. And then you mentioned so Fears into Fuel has a lot of the stories that I've been talking about, but then Real Leadership that's still out there, volume 2, that really tells the story of my childhood growing up and then running the company and getting it out of Citigroup. And also they've done a website for the book called fearsintofuel.com that takes you to my main website, which is johnaddisonleadership.com. And that's where I have a lot of blogs, a lot of follow-up stuff. I got a training thing we did. So anyway, I would just encourage folks to go there because like I said, I'm sure most of the people that watch your podcast, Richard, they're looking for the courage within themselves to go live the life they deserve. Okay. And I'm just telling you, we live in a crazy world. And a lot of times it seems like in business, it seemed like to me just when you thought, okay, we're around the corner, we're running to the finish line now, the earth would collapse beneath our feet, and you'd be, oh crap, I got to start over. Okay. And it is your ability to fail and keep going. Not let it just become, okay, well, I tried, just go back and exist, okay? It is your ability to deal with that. I wish life was all sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops, and it was all going to always work good. Guess what? Crap happens. But I will tell young people this, the older you get, if you've gone out and won and you look back and you remember things, that you don't remember the moments where everything was going perfect.
Yeah.
You remember the tough times when, the story I tell in there, one of my favorite movies, The Outlaw Josie Wales, where, they're about to be attacked by the Indians that morning that are, coming after him, the Comanche. And he's got like two ladies and the one old Native American gentleman and all that. And they've got to fight them off. And he looks at them and goes, look, there's going to be a moment where you think that there's no way, there's no hope, there's no anything. And at that moment, you got to get plumb mad dog mean, because if you don't, you're going to die. Okay. Yep. Well, in life, I learned there are times where you just gotta go, I gotta suck it up, and I gotta go win anyway. Art Williams, one of my favorite talks he ever did, still out on YouTube and stuff, Do It, where he's talking about just do it, okay? Classic. And it is, and that was Art, okay? Art come hell, high water, whatever, was going to get it done. Okay. Yeah. And honestly, that is what I've learned separates, Art always said it's almost too scary to talk about the difference between winning and losing. Okay. Like Rory McIlroy. It would have been just as easy for him to be sitting there going, I choked it again right now.
Yeah.
As to that little bit of suck it up. Okay.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in endorsements at stake.
Oh my God. Legacy. I mean, his life, he was already a super wealthy guy. He was gonna be fine. It wasn't like it was my family won't eat. But that now, his life is fundamentally different for the rest of it, because somewhere in him, he wrestled the demon to the ground and got it done. Yep. And that's my encouragement to people. The world will tell you you're not good enough, smart enough. Your friends, not just your people that you don't get along with, your friends will tell you, what are you doing? People can always tell you. One thing we have in this world now is plenty of negative people. Okay. And I always tell people, if positive people shared their feelings as easily as negative people do, what a great world we'd have. You gotta be able to prove the doubters wrong.
Any idiot can figure out how it won't work.
Oh no, absolutely. And tell you. And and absolutely say, this is, you're still trying that thing. Okay. And, so my advice to you, surround yourself with positive people, positive thinking, have a can-do attitude, get up every day and say, I'm about to go kick butt today, and go prove the doubters wrong. Nothing feels better than winning, despite
Redemption.
yeah. I mean, nothing feels better than that. It's a glorious feeling. The day we went public and rang the stock exchange, we rang the bell on the stock exchange. And then we had a giant celebration with our top leaders, probably had 2,000 people there in the ballroom at the Waldorf Astoria. And, I walked out and like in Braveheart, the first thing I did went to the microphone and just yelled, freedom. And, that was just, I'll never forget that day. I mean, that where you just went, my God, we got it done. And honestly, despite every odds you could have and not, so at our 15-year, we had a celebration for the 15th year of the IPO the other day, and there were tons of our sales force came in. Bill Whittle, first time I'd seen him in a while, and all of them. And having all of those folks come up to me wanting to say, thank you for my family's got this business. I have equity in the company now. And these are powerful leaders, and they walk up, and before they could say anything, they're crying, and they just hug me. Money can't buy that. Yeah. I mean, money can't buy the feeling that, somewhere, someplace in your life, you got to take a stand and kick some butt. And that I went out.
Somehow you got to figure out and decide whether the work is worth it.
Absolutely.
And I think the people that decide the work is worth it, it's not like the work is hard.
Yeah. But it requires relentless determination and doing. Yeah. And one of the things I watch in this industry is, look, I mean, it's like coaching football. You start over every week and you got to do the same stuff. Okay, there is no shortcut. There's no brilliant thing that all of a sudden is going to make you where you're making $2 million a year or something. It requires relentless, continuous effort. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Okay, and I mean, you gotta do, and what most people do is, they just go, okay, well, it's too hard, I quit. Okay. Yeah. And, you gotta have that inner determination, and that I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna be a force of nature. I'm gonna keep moving forward. My Winston Churchill thing. I mean, you think about in 1940, America was in a very isolationist mood, was not going to go into the war to save Britain or Europe. And the United Kingdom was the only Western country still standing up against Hitler. And the members of Churchill's cabinet wanted him to do a deal with Hitler. Okay. Yeah. And, just in his relentless, we're going to fight. One of his famous speeches, he says, if our Long Island history is to end, let it end only when each of us lies choking in his own blood on the ground. Okay? That we're going to fight. Okay? And because they fought and kept going in the war in 1940 and all of 41 until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and the Americans came in, we don't have Nazis controlling Western Europe. No. And, winning is not comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's not like, oh, I'm sitting in my soft, easy chair. Ain't this great? Okay. Winning is uncomfortable. Success takes toughness. And I think sometimes with social media and everything now, and I realize I'm the old guy talking now, but everybody, oh, look how perfect they're, oh, look how beautiful she is and how great their life is, all that. That's a bunch of crap. They're probably just as screwed up, messed up, and everything as you. I mean, winning is tough. It's hard. You got to go pay a price. I mean, even if you're a YouTube influencer, if you want to make a lot of money at it, you better work your butt off being a YouTube influencer. I mean, anyway, that's
John Addison. You're a treasure.
Yeah, Richard, I appreciate you. So are you. And like I said, I've just always enjoyed our conversations over the years because you're a positive, upbeat, can-do guy. So anyway, I've enjoyed this.
Thank you, sir. Go get the book, get on the website, and sign up for the course. You're going to love the course. Thank you all for watching The Authentic Networker. We'll see you next time.